Good evening and welcome to Hyde Park Baptist Church. We're glad to have you here with us tonight. Please take a minute to tune in to our announcements.
We are super excited to announce that we will be sending 4 people to Nicaragua on a mission trip December 7th through the 12th. A popcorn fundraiser has been started and shared on Facebook. The fundraiser will run for 1 week. Our goal is to raise $2,500. You can also make cash or check donations sent directly to the church or through our online payment portal on Realm by texting Hyde Park Giving to 73256 and noting mission trip in the comments. Thank you for your prayers and giving as you feel led to give.
October is Pastor Appreciation Month. Join us in celebrating Pastor Sam Kennington. We are also celebrating Sam's 5-year anniversary with Hyde Park Baptist Church. He has been with us for 5 years this month and has been our head pastor for 7 months. Thank you for your service, Pastor Sam.
Secret Sisters will meet on Monday, October 9th at 6:30 p.m. in the Memorial Center. Bring a covered dish and a gift for your sister from the previous year. We will also draw names for this year's Secret Sisters. Let Melinda Hyatt know if you have any questions.
Join Pastor Sam starting October 15th for church membership class, held Sundays at 9 a.m. All new members or anyone interested in learning more about Hyde Park is encouraged to attend.
Fall Festival Trunk or Treat. It's that time of year again. We will host our annual Fall Festival with the Trunk or Treat event down on the ball field, October 29th from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Get your car decorations and games ready. Candy donations are needed to hand out to our visitors.
Sunday school classes are held at 9 a.m. every Sunday morning. Check the flyers in the front lobby for class options and some room numbers.
Small group topics. Ephesians 6-week Bible study led by Jennifer Brazel, Jenny Bowers, and Robbie Bowers starts on Monday, October the 2nd at 6:30 p.m. at the Bowers House. Young Adults Colleges 30s Hebrews 6-week Bible study led by Allison Fail starts Monday, October the 2nd at 6 o'clock p.m.
Join us Thursday mornings at 7:15 at Bojangles to fellowship and build relationships with our youth.
Youth announcements. Youth will meet 6 p.m. on Wednesdays downstairs in the youth room. We will attend the 7 p.m. service with the adults upstairs after. Youth also attends Awanas on Sunday 5 to 7 p.m. in the Memorial Center. Stay up to date on youth events. Sign up to join our Youth Remind. Hope Food Donations. The box for Hope donations is below the stairwell downstairs by the canopy entrance. Thank you for your continued contributions to this charity. Thursday, October 19th, youth will attend Lancaster High School JV's game. Come support our youth that play at Lancaster High School. Meet at the church at 5:30 p.m. Tickets on GoFan.
Saturday, October 21st, we will host a vendor fair in the Memorial Center from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. to benefit Operation Christmas Child. Donations are needed for a bake sale and cakes are auctioned off. Also, spread the word to help us rally up more vendors.
Please stand and join with us as we sing together, Everlasting God. Strength will rise as we wait upon the Lord. We will wait upon the Lord. We will wait upon the Lord. Strength will rise as we wait upon the Lord. We will wait upon the Lord. We will wait upon the Lord our God. Reign forever. Our hope, our strong deliverer. You are the everlasting God, the everlasting God. You do nothing to walk where we You're the defender of me. You comfort those in need. You lift us up on wings like Strength will rise as we wait upon the Lord. We will wait upon the Lord. We will wait upon the Lord. Strength will rise as we wait upon the Lord. We will wait upon the Lord. We will wait upon the Lord our God. You reign forever. Our hope, our strong deliverer. You are the everlasting God, the everlasting God. You do nothing to
Good morning. Good day, as the British say, I think. Huh? If you work night shift, it's morning. Right. Okay. As long as I woke up. As long as I woke up, right? All right. All right, prayer concerns tonight. The new ones I have are Pam Carnes, Lynn Donahue, Mike Lynn's doing better. She had to, you want to tell them?
No, we were at the emergency room. Probably an issue with her blood pressure. It drops, and she's like real weak and dizzy and can't see. And she asked me to take her to the emergency room today, and they ran all the tests, and everything came out normal. So probably back to her primary care. But she's at home resting, and thank you for your prayers.
Okay. Earl Harmon, he had a, Peggy's not here tonight, but he had a doctor's visit to see about his knees, to be praying for that for him, for Earl. Nicholas Sorrell, as he is away at Fruitland. Kimberly Reiner and Ronnie Steen has surgery tomorrow, so be praying for him. Do we have any other ones for Hyde Park tonight? Ooh.
Kim's got kidney stone. She's been in the hospital yesterday and today.
They're going to have to
Well,
do the...
she's going to pass it.
Anybody ever had one? That joke. Man, I feel for you. I had one. It about killed me. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, you know. I don't know, but they hurt. Rachel. We were talking about that. Where's his brother at? Do you know what it is? Do y'all have it? No, it's shoe size. Huh? Well, how about texting it to me or get it to me? All right. Working on that now. It's on him. It's on video. You. All right. Anybody else? Be praying for our small groups. We've got 2 going right now, and a third should be starting with the men. Allison, it went well. Good. Jenny had the other one. Who was it Jenny's besides me? How did it go? I thought it went awesome. Had a good time. See Jenny Bowers or anybody that's been, if you're interested in going, see Allison. For hers, you got to be young, though. They told me I can't come. I mean, in my defense, I have all my teeth.
And on your hair.
Does that mean I can't go?
I ain't talking about. I don't know, but no, seriously, if y'all really, if you need to be discipled no matter where it is, whether it's Sunday school or small group or whatever it is, we need to be discipled always. So be praying about that. If you're not coming to Sunday school, look into that, or do both. I mean, do it all if you can, but we need to be plugged into some kind of discipleship here. All of us do, okay? So be in prayer about that, be in prayer for them, be in prayer that they grow spiritually and numerically, preferably with some people who don't know the Lord, because that's one of the other reasons why we do it, for outreach. So be praying for them that God will send people their way to learn about the Word. I know Allison's going through Hebrews, and Jenny and them's going through Ephesians. So I was in there the other night. It was very interesting. I thought it was a good time, and it's, biblical things, but You know, it was pretty cool. And they got a lot of food. I don't know about Allison, but they had a lot of food. They didn't have much food there. Young people don't eat, the old people do. The old people ain't shy. Well, I say old people. Y'all not old. The Gammons are not old. They're young pups in the group, in that group. But they don't mind eating, and none of us do either. So, just be in prayer about that. Homebound this week is Libby Snipes. Deacon of the week is Wayne Craps. Concerns outside of Hyde Park, we got Mary McManus, which is Robbie and Lynn's sister. Is she still in the hospital?
Still in the hospital. She's got some colon issues.
Okay. Elaine Paris, Joni Schneiderman, that's your mom? Yep. Okay. Is she in the hospital? I know she.
No.
Okay.
She fell
Oh yeah. Okay.
she's got a black eye.
Okay. Anybody else outside of Hyde Park tonight?
I'd like to put my dad on there.
Okay.
William Lloyd. He's gone to the doctor recently, just getting some things checked out. He lives in the camper outside our new house now, so
Yeah. Okay.
still getting around getting it done.
Getting it done. Okay. Anybody else? Yes.
Tim Wooten's wife, Connie Wooten, she is
Connie.
Connie Wooten. She is the wife of my boss. She has thyroid cancer.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Emmett Brown. Okay. So you got Croup. I'm running out of room. How you spell Croup?
You were wrong, Mike.
I was closer than Mike was. Okay. Was that all, Suzanne? Linda Brewington. Okay. Margaret Johnson.
This death here, Brenda Rice's brother-in-law, when did he pass away? Do you know?
Hold on 1 second. That one must be off of this one. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Brenda Rice's brother-in-law, when did
Sunday. Sunday during church, I think they call it. Yes, ma'am. And Gerald told us last night that the funeral is not this Saturday, but the next Saturday. Was you sitting there when he told me that? Yeah. So to move on to bereavement, if we have any more. Yeah. Is that on? That's not bereavement. It is bereavement. B-R-I-T-T. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm. Anybody else in bereavement?
the family of Albert Carbajal?
All right, hold on. Spell it for me.
The last name?
Yeah.
C-A-R-B-A-G-A-L. I mean J-A-L.
C-A-R-B-O-N.
B-A-J-A-L.
Try it again. C-R-B-A-J-A-L. I'm not listening to you. I can tune people out you wouldn't believe. Anybody else? I'm going to read the two and go back and read the ones that we had. Is there any other ones to put down before I read them? So we had Jerry Harwell, which was Brenda Rice's brother-in-law, and the family of Seth Rogers. So what else we got? Anybody else on anything before we go to Lord in prayer? Okay. Mike, do you mind praying for us tonight?
Lord, I thank you for bringing us here for our Wednesday night Bible study. We know we lift up all the people on the prayer list and our believing list to you and give them comfort and answer their prayers. And we thank you for being our Lord and Savior and our King. In God's holy name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. All right. Y'all want to do Bible trivia? Or no? Okay. Is that the reason everybody comes? I hope not. My man Hawk over here asked me, he said, look, you got Halloween candy. I said, yeah, there's some Halloween candy. He said, from last year? I said, I don't know, maybe. Some of it's green. No. It is ghoulish green. If you're lucky enough to, yeah. Oh, yeah, we need donated Halloween candy. Thank you very much. All right, y'all ready? We need some music or something, man. Get this stuff started. Get me going. It's hard being the MC to this thing, y'all. Huh? All right, here we go. Of what wood was Noah's ark made? Raise your hand. Beth. Gopher wood. Gopher. 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 Is that what a gopher looks? I don't know, Mike. Go Google it. How long? How long was the ark?
Was it 300 cubits long and 45 cubits high?
I'm going to give you two pieces. I didn't ask for width, but he gave it anyway. Here, my friend.
I need another one.
There you go. I should see a bunch of hands on this one. For how long did the flood rain fall?
30 days.
Kelly.
40 days and 41 days. Give your candy right here.
You're going to have to fight him over that.
Oh, the Snickers are green.
Ghoulishly green, I told you.
That's how old it is.
Who restored Paul's sight after the Lord blinded him? There's so many hands up. Good. Where was an altar erected to the unknown God? It's for a Reese's pumpkin. Yes, sir. What city? I'll give you. There you go. What book is that in? For a sucker? Huh? Huh? Paul said it. Does that help? Acts. Boy, it gets a sucky too when I'm talking about it. Root beer too. I don't know the chapter, but it's in there, I promise. You can Google it, yeah. What aged prophet's hands were upheld by two persons and caused the armies of Israel to be victorious? What aged prophet's hands were raised up by two other men? And when his hands dropped, they did what? During the battle? Moses. What happened when his hands dropped? Started losing. Who was in that meeting where I talked about that? Anybody here? Okay. Nobody. What book of the Bible was written without explicitly mentioning the name of God? Yeah, you were in that meeting. Yes. No, ma'am. Close. What'd you say? No, it's Esther, but she said it, so I'm going to give it to you. Esther. All right, this got a bonus. This is for a Hershey. How does the author of 1 John often refer to his readers as my dear? I'm going to try to get somebody else. My dear. No. 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 Yes. Who wrote 1 John? Raise your hand. I'm not calling on the ones who said it. Yes, what's your name? Leslie. John. Listen. You get what you get. All right. Finish this proverb. Where there is no vision, the what? Blank, blank. Where there is no vision, yes. No. I give it to you. What's the word though, really? The people perish. Yeah. Be not forgetful to entertain blank, for thereby some have entertained angels unaware. Huh? Oh, you're not there yet? I'm going to read it again. Be not forgetful to entertain blank, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares. I don't see Hulk over there with his talon hanging out. Get that, talon? Yes? Strangers. I'll get it to you. You're going to get it again. Come on, man. Green Snickers.
Have somebody hold my arm up like Moses.
Where did the Pharisees claim Jesus got his power from? Allison. Beelzebub. The devil. At what age did Jesus begin his ministry? 30.
Can I get a piece I actually like these?
No, you get what you get. I'm not digging. I'm just grabbing what I grab. All right. Y'all need to get this one. Everybody in here should get this one.
I won't raise my hand.
Thank you. Who helped the eunuch to understand a portion of the book of Isaiah? Anybody but these two. We talked about it on a Wednesday night at length. Beth. Huh? No. He went into the water. He was what?
He was baptized
Who did it?
in the desert.
Eddie. I'm going to give it to you too. How about a sucker? Did I give you a sucker already?
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay. See, you didn't complain.
And it was in the book of Acts.
Is that not the story where they
Give it to him.
like the Ethiopian ruler on the road?
Yeah, we talked about it on Wednesday night. All right, last one. What was the last book of the Old Testament? Malachi. All right. The lesson this week, I'm going to have to split it into two, I believe, maybe even three. See, last week I didn't even finish. I was how many pages behind? or I didn't get. So I'll let that one go. But this one, I'm going to probably go 2 weeks with this one because there's a lot to it. So tonight, what has been the main title of what we've been doing for the last like 8 weeks? Dumb things questions do? Oh, I thought you said questions. Thank you, Billy. She said questions, Christians, dumb things that Christians do. If somebody can't tell me one or two of the ones we've done in the past.
Church hopping.
Okay, throwing mud on the drive.
You do that one every time.
Because I remember that one. Bringing people to church for the wrong reason.
Okay.
Or to the Lord for the wrong reason.
Right.
Keep going.
Yeah. As many as you know.
Miss the golden opportunity.
Okay.
Okay, wait, hold on. We're not saying anything. I'm trying to do the right thing here. Yeah,
What was it?
the marriage one. Is marriage hard? No, that's Sunday.
That was Sunday.
The what,
Missing the golden opportunity.
She said that one.
bringing people for the wrong reason.
Uh-huh.
Like doing things at the fun things.
Church
but
hoppers.
Not bringing them into the church.
Okay.
Church hoppers.
Yeah.
The like having false anxieties. I don't remember the name of that one. So the girl hit
What-
under the pet thing.
What was last week? Okay. All right. We'll stop there. That's good. That's a good job. Y'all remember most of them. Hey. I know she did. I know. Some of you helped her. That's good. All right. This week, it should be easy because it's kind of unique. Allowing wolves to live among the sheep. All right. And like I said, this is probably going to be a two-parter at least. But I know it'll be at least 2 parts. We won't get through tonight as we're already at 7:30. So tonight is pretty self-explanatory. But I'm going to start with a story tonight. It's the story of a church shooting in Fort Worth, Texas at Wedgewood Baptist Church. They were holding an area-wide youth rally, and a man named Jeff Laster would always sit in the foyer and on Sunday mornings and when they had any kind of special event where he seen this guy walk in that he'd never seen before. And the man was smoking a cigarette and he had a hoodie on. So Jeff was going to go and politely tell him to take the cigarette out of his mouth. It was a smokeless campus, and he was also going to welcome him and thank him for coming. So as he gets closer to him, the man pulls a gun and shoots him. The man went on. He had a 9mm pistol. He shot Jeff, and the man proceeded down the halls of the church, firing the whole way, just shooting the next person he would see. And he killed 7 people in the end, including himself, which was 8, including him. And they all died senselessly. This is not an exhaustive list, but the next list is really small. If you can read some of those. Those are the church shootings since that one in Wedgefield Baptist Church in Fort Worth, Texas. There's 20-something there. Some of them you probably heard of. I've heard at the Greater Oak Missionary Baptist Church, Hopkinsville, Kentucky. The one in College Park I've heard of. Idaho, Georgia, Michigan. There's a lot in Texas, Kansas, Georgia. Of course, the one in Charleston in 2015, the Emmanuel AME Zion Church. And the most recent one that I could find was in St. Stephen's Episcopal Church in Vestavia Hills, Alabama. So, and we look at this and they say, is there no safe place anymore? I think most of us would probably say, and when we were growing up, one of the places the whole reason that this is called a sanctuary. What's a sanctuary? It's a safe place. You know, it used to be churches were like that. You know, schools were like that. I mean, there is no safe place no more. There's no way that evil can't reach. I mean, we've always known that. But when you see these things, you realize how bad it really is. And you know, I think I've told you in my past experience where someone come down the aisle during my preaching. I'm standing like on the floor like this, and I was preaching, and the guy comes down and his fist is balled up, and I don't stop because I mean. What are some things that could be happening as he walks toward me? Well, okay, you don't want to jump. You want to be cautious, but you don't want to jump to conclusions. Now, everybody's watching this dude as he walks he walks from the end all the way to the end. He starts walking in, And I'm standing like where I'm standing right here, and I'm watching, and I'm preaching or talking or just like a Wednesday. I mean, it was a Sunday morning, but I'm doing like I am right now. I was just teaching, and I'm thinking in my mind, well, I've had problems with the guy, right? So I don't know. You never know. And so you don't want to jump to conclusions, but your mind races through a lot of things. What can happen? Is he going to, say something dumb? Is he going to do something dumb? What do I need to do? I ain't lie to you. I did this. I put my front foot up here, and I did this right here, and I got it back here because I don't know what he's going to do. I'm going to defend myself, right? So, but, I'm thinking in my mind, he could have a gun, Now, there were some words, he said some words, but that's as far as it went. It didn't get violent or anything like that, but at that moment, I did not know that. And the author talks about that happened to him, the author of the book we've been going through. He says that somebody did that to him on a Sunday morning. And the guy kept walking down, and he kept thinking, he's had all these churches in mind that had all these shootings and stuff, and he's standing there preaching. The guy's come down. He didn't know who he was. It was a brand new person. It was a visitor. And he's just looking at him the whole time as he walks down. He's in the pulpit, and he's preaching, and he don't know what to do. And people are all on the side just watching and seeing what this guy's going to do. Well, come to find out, he was a guy that couldn't speak English. He was just coming down to pray during the sermon. He didn't know. People could have overreacted and jumped him before he got down there. You had to wait and see because you don't know. You just don't know. You got to be cautious. What would you think? Would you think something, just because of all those shootings right there and all the things we've seen in the last, 25, 30 years, we just never know. In our society, the way the media portrays Christians is increasingly dangerous. They look at us now. I never thought after 9/11 that we would look at Muslims in a positive light, but it seems like as time has went on, they look more negatively on Christians. They say we're hate-filled. They say all these things about us because of the way we take stances on things that God says are wrong. They think we're being hateful. We're not hateful. Now, some are. You got those goobers that used to blow up abortion clinics. Do you really think that's what Christ wants us to do? Remember, we talked about this last Sunday. Jesus came to be a revolutionary of people's hearts, not turning over to governments and bombing people and killing them for what they believe and things like that. We change hearts. We don't change people from the outside in. That's what Christianity is supposed to do. But it's becoming increasingly more dangerous, especially with abortion issues. Even now, after they knocked down Roe versus Wade, it's actually gotten harder for us, I believe, in a lot of places. And like I said, a lot of people look at us and think we're evil. But we take steps here in our church every Sunday and Wednesday nights. If you didn't notice, we got men who get up when the service starts. They go down and lock the doors. They check the rooms up under the church. They do those things to keep us safe. A lot of people don't know that you do that. But I was actually talking to Johnny tonight about that. We started talking about it, so I'm going to talk about that a little bit tonight. Trying to keep us safe and try to keep us from worry. And like I say, you just never know what can happen. I know there's been times during service before I was the pastor, and I'd be back there with the guys in the audio video as Charlie was preaching or whatever we were doing. And somebody knocks on that door because we lock it after the service starts. It makes you a little nervous because you just don't know. So what amazes me, though, is there is nothing wrong with taking precautions for physical safety, and I believe in that. I think we should be smart. Like Jesus said, we should be as smart as vipers and as gentle as doves, and we should think and all that. But we allow spiritual enemies to come in and cause so much spiritual harm, we can't even fathom the consequences of people who come in who are dressed like sheep but are wolves at heart. So this is what we're going to talk about in the next couple of Wednesdays. Now, I want to say this. I don't think there are any here at HPBC right now. I don't think we have any wolves at the door at the moment in Hyde Park. And you say, but you might say, well, Sam, if we don't have any problems, then why are we even talking about it? Why you want to bring it up tonight? I say that because we are in a prime time in our church life right now for something like that to happen. We're in a time of transition. We have challenges that are coming up on the horizon for us. This is a prime time where somebody, or our enemy, can get through to somebody to start doing things in our church to try to stop what God's doing. Now, I ain't trying to be a doomsday prophet or nothing like that, But what I am saying, that they could come a time where we have to do hard things to make sure that what God wants to do at Hyde Park is going to get done. And we got to be willing to do it. And it's hard. But we always have to be looking for the future. It only takes one wolf to start attacking the sheep and scatter them. I bet many of you have been in church for years, have seen it. It's ugly when it happens. When you see somebody in the church who wants their way and does whatever they can to make sure their way gets heard or done. If any of y'all ever been in a bad church business meeting, raise your hand. A few of you. It is, I don't know how, I know how it made me feel. It's the gut-wrenching thing you could ever be a part of because it goes against everything that we should stand for. Arguing in church. It's brutal. It's rough. So don't ever think that the devil couldn't get a toehold or a foothold in our church to make that happen again. We always want to be watchful of that, okay? So that's the reason why we're going to talk about that. And what do these wolves look like? Well, some of them, it seems, very innocent. Many of them are gossips. They like to talk about things and other people's business. And sometimes the things they talk about are true, and sometimes they're not. But they're wolves. They are liars. They will lie to get their way. They will lie about facts. They will lie about anything to make sure they do get their way. They're caustic critics. Listen, there's nothing wrong with giving somebody a little bit of advice. There's nothing wrong with that. But there are people who are so critical. Every time you're around them, they're always trying to start division. He's always wanting somebody to be down. I'm not saying we should ever lie and tell people, a bunch of junk, or as far as building them up for no reason, but we should not be lying about it, and we should definitely never be tearing people down for stuff that they do in the church, right? So they can be very caustic. They can be legalist. Legalism is very easy to start seeping into the church. They can be power-hungry manipulators, like I said, wanting their way. They never attack physically, but they are a lot more dangerous because they can cause spiritual death. And the point is, we do all these things to safeguard ourselves from physical harm, but a lot of times in churches, I've seen it. A lot of times we don't do the steps necessary to make sure that the wolf, the spiritual wolf, doesn't take people down as well. We talked about that a little bit on one Wednesday night, but we're going to go more in depth with that tonight. In Matthew 7, this is what Jesus said. Watch out for false prophets. They come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ferocious wolves. By their fruit you will recognize them. Do people pick grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? Likewise, every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. What does this say about judgment here? About judging somebody. What does this say about judging somebody? What's Jesus saying about how... What does he mean?
The way they act, the way they live, the things they say. They can say they live one way, but you'll know whether they really mean it by how they act,
Okay.
how they treat others.
Okay. Everybody agree with him? Anything to add to that? You're right. If you have somebody who doesn't participate in the ministries here, and for some reason a lot of times a wolf doesn't participate. They don't do the things that everybody else does, but they're the loudest ones vocally about being, caustic, constantly complaining, but they never help. And you're right. You can judge people by the things that they do. That's what the Lord's telling us. I mean, he says, do you pick grapes from a thorn bush, right? Who you are and how you act is going to be seen one way or the other. And Jesus said in verse 17, likewise, every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a bad tree can't what? Bear good fruit. Does that mean that you have somebody in the church who is Jesus saying they can't do good things? What's he saying?
They got a chance to do it.
Okay. So a bad person can't do something good? So the fruit Jesus is talking about, what does that mean?
The reason behind why they do it.
Okay, very good.
They can come to church every Sunday, they can participate in the activities, but if they're not doing it to glorify God's kingdom or to help the growth of the church, they're doing it for the self-value of it, so that they can tell the members, hey, look what I did this, I did that. It's a very bitter fruit.
It's a form of fruit, but not the kind of fruit God wants, right? That's not from the Holy Spirit. That's from your own self. You know, somebody who you can do a lot of good things. A lot unsaved people do a lot of good things, right? But it's not the kind of fruit Jesus is talking about. It's not the kind of fruit that God bears. You know, we talked about that too. You know, people like Oprah Winfrey, who does a lot of things for people, but I can tell by the things that she says, I'm pretty sure she don't know Jesus. But if you looked at her life, you'd say, and secular people look at her life and go, man, she does a lot of good stuff. She gives cars away and all this other stuff. And she does good things, but that's not the kind of fruit Jesus is talking about. So what Jesus is saying too, in our midst, that wolf can do a lot of good things. They can give the most money, right? They can be at every meeting. You know, they can do a lot of good things, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're doing them for the right things. In verse 19, Jesus said, every fruit that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. What does that mean?
That's referencing I always took that as referencing that the bad trees are talking about the sinners who don't truly believe in Jesus, and they're cast into eternal hell.
Yeah, at the end, all the things that they've done is going to be set there and judged. Remember we talked about straw and gold, and remember we talked about it on Sunday when Paul was talking about it? You know, everything that you've ever done is going to be burned up in the fire, in the judgment of what God says is actually good fruit. So Jesus says those things are going to be cut down. The things that you've done will be cut down. They're either going to be gold or straw or whatever it is, and they're going to burn up on Judgment Day if they don't match up to what you were doing it for your intent of why you were doing the things that you were doing. In verse 20, Jesus said, thus by their fruit you will recognize them. So we can judge, right? We've talked about that some. We can judge certain things, right? We can judge who? Who can we judge? Other Christians. Who can't we judge? Who's going to do that? God, Jesus. All right. Acts 20:29 says, I know that after I leave, savage wolves will come in among you and not spare the flock. Even from your own number, men will arise and distort the truth in order to draw away disciples after them. So be on your guard. Remember that for 3 years I never stopped warning each of you day and night with tears. So it's pretty important, right, what Paul's saying. It's important to look out for the people who are causing problems. In 2 Corinthians 11:13, Paul writes, for such people are false prophets, deceitful workers, masquerading as apostles of Christ. And no wonder, for Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light. It is not surprising then, if his servants also masquerade as servants of righteousness, their end will be what their actions deserve. So what does these scriptures mean? It means our first point is we have been warned. Okay? You ask me why we're doing this. If we're not having any issues, we're supposed to do the warning. We're supposed to go through the Word. We're supposed to talk about every issue. And just in case those issues come up in our church, we will deal with them and know how to deal with them. Jesus and Paul, through the Holy Spirit, are clearly telling us on these scriptures that don't be surprised when things like this happen. When we have people who want to teach false things, when we have people who want to be divisive, when we have people who cause problems, and we should always be prepared to meet the challenge. I got a bunch of sticky notes on my monitors in there in my office. I got them on monitors. I got them on the desk. I write them all the time about things I read or pick up. And one says on the top, it says how to solve problems. And I read this all the time. I read it almost every day that I'm in the office. Number one, it says anticipate problems before they occur. I'm constantly trying to do that. I'm constantly looking forward, trying to see where things that we do could cause issues that we need to handle in the future. We need to always be doing that. Number 2, remain positive while they occur. That's a very hard thing to do. Like right now, I'll give you an example. Our budget. We're hurting. It's very hard to stay positive when you look at it every week and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But I don't worry about it. I'm concerned about it. But the thing is that I give it to God and I let Him handle it. I'm going to stay positive because I believe God can turn all that around. I'm really not worried about it. But should we be concerned about it? Yes, we should be concerned about it. Can God turn it around? Yes, He can turn around. I believe He will turn around. But we have to stay positive. No, it's not. It's not. And you're right, He's done it. Y'all have seen it. And I believe we'll see it again. And I believe it's God showing us what He's going to do. But even through it, we see a problem, we're going to stay positive. We're not going to get negative. We're not going to overreact. We're not going to get emotional about it. We're just going to let God do His thing. We're going to do what we can do, and that's be faithful. Number 3 I got is use all your resources to solve them quickly so they cease to occur. A lot of times I see things coming. I might call one of y'all about a certain situation and say, hey, will you help me with this and get a handle on this before it starts into something bigger. Number 4, learn from them so the problems do not occur again. You know, we always need to be learning from the things that happen to make sure that, number 1, hopefully it don't happen again, but if it does happen again, we'll know how to handle it and we jump on it and get it done. Now, here are some points that we can take from the scriptures we just read. Number 1, fact number 1, spiritual wolves are masters of deception. What would be useful if the troublemakers would walk around with sandwich boards that say, hi, I'm a troublemaker? That'd be easy, right? Somebody just come in with a t-shirt that says, okay, I'm new and I'm going to cause problems. That'd be easy, right? That's what you hope they would do. But is that the way troublemakers come? No. How do they come? Come in meek and quiet, right? How can I help? What can I do to make it better? Usually that's the way it happens. And you think, oh, yeah, God's sending something. And please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. We're not supposed to be skeptical everybody comes in here. I'm not saying that. But we also need to be mindful of it. That's how it can happen. And they're looking for people they can manipulate. Don't be surprised if the biggest wolf is the one you have helped the most. There was this guy, we had Compass Church in town, and because of where we were at, we had a lot of people always stopping in wanting money, and I don't know why they thought we had money. I'm not being mean or anything, but you help a few people out, and they go tell everybody else, and so people just kept coming and wanting food and wanting all these things until the point I finally said, hey, we can't do this anymore. But there was this one guy, his name was Johnny, and we helped this guy a lot. Like a lot of people in our church, we didn't have many people in this church, and we didn't have a budget. We didn't have anything. It was just what it was, and we just gave from our hearts and gave out of our own pockets. And this guy came in with him and his wife. I think he had 1 or 2 kids. I can't remember. He had some little kids, I think 2. He comes in and talks about they need food. They just moved. They had this long story about where they came from, and they needed help, and so that's what we did. And we gave them stuff, and we go buy them stuff. And this went on for a long time, and it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, wanting more and more, until it finally got to the point. We had a person that was in our church. It was one of the elders, and their mom was dying. And Johnny kept calling this person over and over again, saying, hey, listen, this is what he wanted. Will you go buy me a DVD player? Me and my wife want to have a date night. Will you go buy something to eat and go buy me a DVD player so we can watch a movie at home? Somebody's watching my kids. The elder told him, look, my mom just died. Just give me. He kept calling. I grabbed the phone and I said, look, this ends right now. This ends. And so I'm not going to go through the whole thing of what I told this guy, but in the end what it was is he was a what? He was a wolf. He just wanted what he could take. You gave him a little bit. And I can't lie, it makes you skeptical of people when you do that. In the beginning, the guy was helpful. He did stuff around the church. He'd say, hey, I'll do stuff around your house. I'd let him cut my grass when I didn't really have the money to give him, but I gave it to him anyway. And he'd do things and help. But then it got to where he'd do less and less, and he wanted more and more, And so people do that. They'll come in and act like they need things, and they want you to help them. You start helping them, then they start taking advantage, and you'll start seeing by their fruit. And, as Christians, at least, I know most of us in here we're going to embrace people hurting. That's just the way we are. That should be the way we're built. And even in that guy, in that testimony I just gave you, that should not keep me from helping other people. But I do think about it. I can't lie. It's only natural. And I think we need to be smart. But when people are hurting, you want to embrace them. That's the Christian thing to do. And as a pastor, I must protect the sheep. We have people call here all the time, not all the time, but a good bit of the time, who want things, who want money from us, who want different things. We had somebody walking off the street a couple of weeks ago, and he was wanting us to get his car got towed somewhere, and he had this. It was just. Why am I telling you this? Because people always are coming in wanting things. They just are. But as your pastor, I have to judge whether there's something we can really do to help them or something we're going to do to enable them. Does that make sense? Make that judgment for us. So it happens all the time. Jesus did leave the 99 to get the one, but the one was a sheep. He wasn't a wolf. Does that make sense? What I mean by that is we are not called to help the wolf. We're called to help the sheep first. We can help the wolves, but we help the sheep first. Fact number 2, by what we see in the scriptures I read to you, is that spiritual wolves are dangerous. Jesus said they are ferocious and they will tear you apart. Paul said they're savages. They usually don't look that way. It's like I told you a while ago. They're like everybody else. I've seen wolves who were 80-year-old ladies. You think they was the nicest person you'd ever met, and you come to find out in a few months that, man, it's like a snake. Y'all think I make this stuff up. At other church, I had an 80-year-old lady corner me in the side over here next to the choir room. Yeah, she was shorter than me. I don't even know what it was about. I was just so stunned, right before I'm about to go out and preach. I mean, stuff like that happens all the time. You never would expect somebody, a little 80-pound woman, 80-year-old woman, vicious gossip, had been such a gossip she broke up a family. How do you deal with stuff like that? I've seen them who are 80-year-old grandpas who would threaten me with a smile on their face. I've told y'all that before. I had an 80-year-old man come into the office, and I hear, please don't misunderstand me, wanting to fight me, So, I mean, it's crazy. Fact number 3 we see, spiritual wolves are evil. I'm going to read 2 Corinthians 11 to you again. Verse 13 says, "For such people are false apostles, deceitful workers, masquerading as apostles of Christ. And no wonder, for Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light. It is not surprising then if his servants also masquerade as servants of righteousness. Their end will be what their actions deserve." So what is Paul saying who these people are? What's he call them? Servants of who? Servants of Satan. He compares them to Satan. We have a really hard time in church describing troublemakers like this, don't we? We have a really hard time saying, well, that little 80-year-old lady is certainly not an agent of Satan. But by what Paul says, is she? And, yeah, you say something? Oh. Maybe? Okay. Why wouldn't she be? Maybe she makes good cakes. Probably did. Probably did make good cakes.
Just don't eat them.
Well, we usually don't describe them like that because it just seems bad to do that, right? We say things like they're just difficult, high maintenance, or that's just the way so-and-so is. Paul says call them what they are. He says we go back to judging. We can't judge right. We talked about that on Sunday morning. I'm sorry, I don't know where I'm at. That didn't sound right, did it? I didn't proofread what I wrote. But anyway, the problem with that is if you don't call it what it is, it lessens what it is. Does that make sense? If you don't call the person what they are, if you just say something like, well, they're just hard to get along with, or they're just having a bad day when they have a lot of bad days, then not calling it what it is means you won't deal with it. It's like having an abusive husband, and you just say, well, he just loses his temper when he slaps me. What is he? But don't people do that to justify their situation sometimes? They don't call a spade a spade. They don't tell you. They don't say exactly what it is. We become politically correct and say softer words. We minimize what the person is doing. And if we don't do something about it, the behavior will continue. The early church called a spade a spade. They just say, hey, when these people are doing what they do, they're being an agent of Satan. We don't think of innocent gossip as being evil or wanting my way as being evil, but it is. Being difficult about everything is evil. Constantly arguing, constantly bringing people down is an evil act. I'm not going to go into fact 4 because we're at the end tonight, but next week we're going to go into the rest of those facts. And this might take 3 weeks to get through this, but that's fine. Has anybody got anything to add to tonight? Nobody?
I'd say earlier when you were talking about being in a church meeting with a wolf,
Mm-hmm.
you can definitely tell something's off in the room when they're in there. I've been in one of those meetings, and typically you can, if there's not one in there, it's just a calm meeting. Everyone has disagreements, but we work through it. But if there's a wolf in the room, it's definitely a different aura present in there. You can feel it. It's a big difference.
Yeah. It is a big difference. And like I said, to be in one of those meetings, when you get done with that meeting, it's a terrible feeling to know that you've been through something like that. And I've been through a few of them. Thank God it's been 20 years, but I've been through a few of those.
Doesn't even feel like you were at church.
No, I don't even count that as church. Now, not to say that the church can have a meeting and not talk about sensitive things. I mean, we should. We should meet things head on. We shouldn't just sweep things under the rug. But we all need to be Christ-like in those situations. Okay? All right. I'm going to pray, and we're going to be dismissed tonight. Father, I pray for Hyde Park Church tonight. I pray that we don't have anything like this simmering underneath the surface here, Lord. I just want to make us aware, and I know through the Word you want us to be aware of that things like this can happen, and how do we handle those things. And when we handle those tough situations, Lord, they have to be done. I know of many times that it doesn't get done, and I've seen churches go through years of a terrible cycle where it's just constant influx, it's constant fighting, it's constant tension. Lord, when we have those kind of environments, we can't worship you in spirit and truth. It's not even church anymore. Father, I'm not even sure what those times are, but they're not what we come together to do. And so, Lord, I lift up Hyde Park to you tonight, Lord, that we continue as we see what you're doing in the future and we see what you're doing now. Lord, we just again want to lift you up and do whatever your will is for us. That it's not selfishness or any other thing that keeps us moving, Lord. It's you. It's your grace and mercy, and it's your vision. And I just pray we're always like that. Lord, I pray for the lost tonight. I pray that Hyde Park's a place that the lost can come to and hear the gospel and be discipled the way you told us to. Lord, I pray that we always lifting the cross up, that we're always living it out in each individual life here, Lord, as a body. Lord, that we live out what we say. And Father, I pray for our small groups and our Sunday school and all the discipleship and evangelism and the vendor fair and the fall festival and all the things we got coming up, Lord. I pray we don't do those things out of tradition or just because we feel like we should. I pray that every time that we have those situations, we can see them as opportunities to reach out to the community, Lord, to witness for you, to be a witness for you. And I pray that's what all those things that we do are purposeful. And I pray we always do things at our very best level with all the excellence that we can give. So, Father, we love you, we thank you, we worship you in spirit and truth. In the name above all names, your Son, Jesus, and all God's people said, amen. Thank you.